gentlemen. Okay, there we go. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a special City Council meeting. The meeting is called to order, and I'd like to ask our Deputy City Clerk to call the roll.
All council members are present.
Please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a brief moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. As a reminder, unlike regular meetings, public comment at special meetings are generally only allowed on specific items listed on the meeting agenda, which means that everybody's going to get a chance to come and speak about what they wanted to speak about, but because we haven't got any business done in the last meeting, we need to take care of a little bit of housekeeping before we get on to the main event. We call a special meeting, consider 4 administrative reports and 1 closed session item. Item number 1 is regarding a Veterans Memorial update, and staff, will you please tell us about those?
Thank you, Mayor, Council, and City staff. Appreciate the opportunity to update you on the Veterans Memorial today. We're having a technical difficulty. Oh, there we go. So today we're here to seek some council feedback regarding the size and scope of the memorial and get a vision for what the budget should look like. A little bit about a project timeline. In 2023, staff conducted outreach to various veterans organizations, and City Council selected a location in front of the Public Safety Building for the new Veterans Memorial. A request for qualifications was executed, and a panel consisting of city staff and veterans selected 3 qualified artists. So the next step would actually be to go to the request for proposal phase. During the outreach, the feedback indicated that the memorial should recognize all branches of the military, and that would include the Space Force and the Merchant Marines. It was noted that the Merchant Marines played a significant role in World War II, and that omitting them actually could cause some complaints. The memorial should also reflect the spirit of each branch of service. And the community also expressed an area to gather. We have American Legion Post 303 does their ceremonies currently for Memorial Day and Veterans Day, and so that's something that is important to this community. And finally, American Legion did help pay for the existing Veterans Memorial, and so they had requested that it be incorporated into the new design and location. And this is just an overhead shot of the area that council selected. Those areas highlighted in yellow are not necessarily areas that need to be used. This was just what we gave the qualified artist as just an idea. In essence, they have that blank slate to work with, but that was what we gave them. And the following slides are going to give some examples of size and scope with approximate dollars in today's dollars. We made some estimations based on when those projects were completed versus what they would cost in today's dollars. And the first one is the City of Corona Veterans Memorial, and this is a drawing. This includes, this is also to note a upgrade, not a new memorial. There was some existing components here. This project is expected to be completed this year for a cost of $561,000. The improvements include flagpoles, a granite monument, amphitheater seating, and a concrete symbol. Next one is the Elk Grove Regional Veterans Memorial. And this was completed in phases. So the final phase is actually due for completion this year. The total cost of $341,000, equivalent in today's dollars, approximately $445,000. And this includes a walking trail, a large concrete star, seating, and a granite tile wall. Next one is the Temecula Fallen Heroes Memorial. This was completed in 2018 for a cost of $275,000, equivalent to about $550,000 in today's dollars. This includes a life-size battle cross and bald eagle, bronze seals representing the military branches, and flagpoles. City of Union City Veterans Memorial. So this was completed in 2017 for a cost of $291,000, equivalent to about $580,000 in today's dollars. The existing monument was enhanced as part of this project, so that the monument actually did exist. It was just enhanced as part of this project. It also included a circle of commemorative pavers and flagpoles and some seating, concrete wall seating. The City of San Mateo Fallen Heroes Memorial. This is actually due to be completed this year for a cost of $482,000. This includes engraved steel columns representing the poppy and engraved concrete and granite flooring, and then it includes new seating and lighting. And this is the Rancho Santa Margarita Veterans Memorial. This is due to be completed this year for a cost of $90,000. However, I do want to note that the design component of this was pro bono, so it was donated. This includes a 12-foot concrete arc with granite plaques representing the military branches. And finally, today we are seeking council feedback on the size and scope of a memorial and a vision for the budget, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Okay. Jen, do we have any speaker cards on this item?
We have one speaker card from Truth.
Hi, Truth.
Hey there. I very specifically came for this item. I'm not here for anything else. I believe the last time I was here, there was another veterans discussion, and it's funny how life works. Not the last time, last time, like a year ago. So I brought my own example of a veterans memorial. Here's one. Have you guys seen this one? Land of the Free because of the Brave in the city of Santee. It's a nice one if anyone has seen it. And they have the bridge there, and they have the Hometown Heroes banners, and it's kind of a weird place, but they did something with it. I'm also a fan of the City of La Mesa's Memorial, which has a chair made of black slabs, a bench with an eagle mosaic, and names along the center part of the memorial. I'm definitely a fan of names with service being listed, statues like the small bronze type near the USS Midway, designed walkways, and all military branches flags flying, although I don't really care for Space Force because they're not defending us from the aliens at this point. Actually, that wasn't meant as a joke as a certain item, but it could be taken that way. That wasn't intentional. And if there are benches or anywhere to sit, make sure there's also shade coverings because El Cajon gets hot. If the budget is tight or there's not much physical space to work with, a simple design like Rancho Santa Margarita's is okay. And I like the circle area outside the public safety building, otherwise formally known as the police department building. That's a good area in the sense that it's going to protect the memorial from vandalism. Nobody should be doing that anyways. I also recommend an inspirational quote or phrase, like the city of Santee has, home of the free because of the brave. So something inspirational like that would be nice. Because a Veterans Memorial is a reminder of why Americans sacrificed for this country, whether or not it was legitimate sacrifice for this country or for some other agenda. The feeling of why people joined was the same. They were still serving. And it's to protect its borders, its people, and the foundational principle of freedom for every single person equally. Thank you.
Anybody else?
No other speaker cards, sir.
Okay, I bring it back to the council. We'll have some discussion about this item. The staff is looking for some direction about the size and scope and budget for this item. Phil, we could start with you since you've been kind of spearheading this.
Yeah, well, I guess the question was to staff would be, those suggestions or the examples that you gave us, were those presented to the artists as examples of what the city would want, or is that what they gave us?
No, none of those examples. Those are research that we did ourselves to give you some ideas of just like the size of different areas. It wasn't, I mean, if you like something, we can certainly have that as something that we can suggest as part of the proposal.
Got it.
But it was more so just to give you an idea of like what the cost would be for a certain size of a specific thing. We will have the opportunity in the request for proposal to give them some suggestions, and then they can take their artistic, from that point on.
So they haven't given us any of their design ideas or anything like that?
That is correct.
Out of the three that we...
The three that were qualified, they gave us what they have done in the past, and we reviewed all of those, and then we decided that these were the three that were qualified to move to the next component, which is where you're...
Okay. Well, I mean, with regard to the budget, it seems from staff that $500,000 seems like about what this is going to cost. So I think we have to start there. And the size and scope I don't have any desire to have like an amphitheater or anything like that, like one of the ideas presented. But anything that's worth putting up, I think we're going to be somewhere around $500,000 based off of what staff compiled.
You've been looking at this for a while. How much of that do you think can be raised, and how much has to be given by the city?
That's a good question. I mean, I know that there's a handful of groups that have already said we want to be involved with fundraising. I know the tribes are interested. I know the Chamber of Commerce has a large veterans group, along with all the other veterans groups. That's part of the coalition. Is that what the
VECA?
No, not VECA. The Veterans
Coalition?
Veterans Coalition, not committee, commission. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I think we could. I think the community can come around and raise six figures easily.
Mayor and Council, I'd recommend you could spend 2 years and a couple $100,000 to raise a couple $100,000. There could be some value of the city committing a certain dollar amount, and then the fundraising is sort of the icing to the project. I think if you're 100% relying on community donations, I think it's going to be a long time before we get there.
Is the city proposing an amount that seems reasonable?
Well, we wanted to show you those examples because what we wouldn't want is the council to say, how about a budget of $100,000, but we really want the, city of Corona's vision. So I think $500,000 is probably a good starting point. And if we had that as a ballpark, we can work with that number in the RFP and maybe give them a little bit of flexibility and say, if you were to add another $200,000, what would that look like? And so that would be a way to go if the council was comfortable with the $500,000 amount.
I'm okay with $500,000. Did any of the applicants suggest any kind of pro bono work for design or anything like that?
No, where they were coming, all three of them happened to come from was just showing the things that they've done in the past.
Got it.
To prove that they had the ability to handle the scope of what we'd be looking for.
So, yeah, I'd like to hear from other council as far as budget, but it seems like $500,000, $500,000 is the going rate.
Gary?
Yeah, I agree with everything that Councilmember Ortiz has said. I think $500,000 is probably where we need to start to make it to be something really good. I have actually always liked statues. That's one thing that El Cajon is lacking in. If you go to the East Coast or into Europe, you see a lot of statues. And I think a patriotic statue would be great. We are, the city of El Cajon, with Gillespie Field, is kind of attached to aviation. That was one of our big contributions in World War II. So I'm thinking maybe a bronze statue of an aviator, holding his helmet, something like that. And, and it goes back to, our history. So, and I don't think we can afford a amphitheater, but I think a nice statue in front of the police station where it will be safe from vandalism, that's something I would certainly consider.
Okay. Anything else, Kara?
No, that's it.
Michelle?
Excuse me. I like what Truth had to say about benches. I like her idea of a shade. It does get hot, and if we have groups that come there, I do like the idea of having shade and seating. We have a lot of vets that come there that are in wheelchairs or have difficulties walking. When it comes to statues, I like Councilmember Kendrick's idea of a statue. We have, I can't think of his first name right at the moment, McWhorter. He wrote a book, and I want to say it was Bill McWhorter. He was a World War II ace firefighter here in El Cajon, well-respected member of the community, and he's since passed back in the 90s, I believe it was. And so we have a lot of well-known aviators, well-known veterans here in El Cajon that maybe we can highlight those. So it's something to look into. The $500,000 to me seems really high, but I guess if that's the going rate, I guess we can do that if we have a lot of sponsorship. I'd like to get sponsorships and other veterans groups to buy into this program. I know that Becca has been very heavily involved, and I know that they would be willing to help raise funds. And so if we made this a big community event, and I know that East County is very military positive, and so if we can get those to help raise funds and do part of the fundraising, that would be great.
Okay. Steve?
$500,000 seems a good place to start. I think subsequently to have groups raise funds, and if raising funds is the icing on the cake. I don't know if people are bricked out buying bricks, but it seems like people like to know if their donation is going to something that has a visible, tangible legacy for their family. And so whether that is some visible element where a donor's name could be added to something to leave for their children to see they supported this, that would be an interesting way to raise funds subsequently.
So on brick donations or plaque donations are a very common thing you see at a lot of memorials. Just so you know, those don't raise money. Those are pretty much break even. A lot of people do them just to create some more energy and some attachment to the community. So if that's something the council wants to do, we can explore that, but it's not really meant to raise money. It doesn't generate funds.
Well, I would have a different opinion to say we shouldn't rule it out, to say, because I'm aware of another facility in which people could sponsor this stained glass window, this entryway, this gym, and it's more than just a name on a plaque, so I would invite the staff to look beyond bricks and plaques.
I want to agree with Councilmember Kendrick. I like the idea of having the artists look into the history of El Cajon at Gillespie Field and personalize it in some way, shape, or form, whether that was in World War II or any other conflicts. Something unique to El Cajon would be great.
All right. Anybody else? Okay, staff, do you need more direction than that, or you think you've got what you need?
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you very much. Item 2 is regarding the prohibition of vaping electronic devices, disguised as other products. Our city manager will tell us all about this.
Good afternoon, Council, Mayor, and Council. Get the presentation up. Back on December 10th, Council members Kendrick and Goebel had as a joint council agenda item this idea of prohibiting items that appear to be something else, like a highlighter or a hoodie or a pen, but they're actually e-cigarette or other device to electronically smoke. So staff was directed to bring back something. We've drafted not an ordinance for your adoption today, but kind of some parameters of an ordinance that we think meet the mark. And after we present the ideas, if we're on the right track, we'll bring that back for formal consideration by the City Council. So what we'd recommend doing is adding a new section to Chapter 8.33 of the Municipal Code. 8.33 is the chapter that regulates tobacco sales in the City of El Cajon. It would make it unlawful to sell a vaping or smoking device that is disguised as another device. By not mentioning the actual types of devices, it gives some flexibility as technology changes and new ideas come about. You're not limited to that. So it's open to some, not vagueness, but the ability to move. The municipal code will move with the times. It would allow the city to seize any product that is being sold that is prohibited. It would also say that there would be a presumption of intent to sell if there are 6 items or more. Because if there's just one item, it could just be the cashier's of device. But so 6+ devices is presumed that you have an intent to sell. And then upon the first violation, there would be a $2,500 fine and the possible revocation of your tobacco retailer's license. As a reminder, this section also gives the due diligence process. So the same due diligence process would still be in effect. So they'd have the ability to appeal, go before an administrative judge or administrative hearing officer, and go through that process. So with that, staff's here to take any feedback that you may have about this, and then with that feedback, we'll come back with a formal adoption of a ordinance for your consideration.
Thank you very much. Do we have any speaker cards on this item?
There are 5 speaker cards. Our first speaker is Michelle Tom.
Hello, welcome.
Hello, my name is Michelle Tan, a District 3 resident at El Cajon. I'm a proud mentor and adult leader to STAN, Students Together Against Alcohol and Drugs, a youth leadership program that was established in El Cajon over 20 years ago. Thank you for bringing these issues forward. It's another tool that strengthens your existing commitment to prevent nicotine addiction amongst our kids. Working so closely with students, a targeted and at-risk population, I have mentored many who have been entrapped into this sickly sweet path to lifelong nicotine addiction, fueled by aggressive marketing of flavored vaping products. Some of my STAN members have confided in me about their personal struggles battling nicotine addiction at such an early age because they started using these deliciously addictive flavors. One individual started in middle school around 11 to 12 years old, another at 14, until their senior year when they discovered STAN. We frequently spend time in STAN meetings discussing the constant leash that flavors have on their peers, friends, family, and community. I have shared with you these letters from STAN students who couldn't be here today because they were in class. They wanted you to know what they see in their schools and neighborhoods. And if you can't read the one addressed to Councilmember Ortiz, it's translated in the back. High school boys. So thank you for this proposal to protect kids from disguised vapes, but I strongly urge you to include a ban on flavored tobacco products to help stop youth addiction in its tracks.
Thank you.
The second speaker is Kate Duffy.
Hi, welcome.
Hi, thank you. My name is Kate Duffy. I'm a graduate of Granite Hills High School, and I support this ordinance, but ask that a flavor ban be included. When I was a student, I was exposed to vaping almost every single day. My classmates would use vapes disguised as USB drives during class, exhaling vapor through their jacket sleeves to avoid getting caught by teachers, and would crowd into the restrooms during breaks to vape with their friends. Things got so out of control that during my senior year, bathrooms started being locked throughout campus, and those that were open were monitored at the door by a member of the school staff. The lines for the few open bathrooms got so incredibly long that many students didn't get to use them on their breaks from class, instead having to go during class or wait until after school. My siblings, who are current students, said that the situation hasn't improved. Both said that it often feels like students who don't vape are the minority and have friends who keep their vapes, which are given to them by older friends and siblings, with them at school, stashing them in their bras, their cars, and their boots. They've told me that more bathrooms are open now, but they're still closely monitored by school staff. This doesn't do much to prevent students from finding ways to vape. My brother said that the boys' bathrooms almost always smell like a slushie due to the strong scent of the flavored vapes teenagers have become addicted to. Teens face difficulties quitting too. My sister told me how her close friend has been trying to quit vaping for months but is too scared to utilize school resources that would help her for fear of getting in trouble. And when these teens graduate high school and either go to college or enter the workforce, they're already burdened financially. As an RN in college, I've had countless students ask for help finding ways to quit, wishing they could have a fresh start. They're just starting their adult life, but are already having to pay hundreds of dollars a month to support their addiction, on top of now having to pay for school, food, and often rent. They're realizing...
Excuse me, do we have a timer on this?
I'm sorry, I forgot to start the timer.
No, it's okay. You get the finish now.
Oh, okay,
Sorry.
cool. Thank you. They're just starting their adult life, but are already having to pay hundreds of dollars a month to support their addiction. On top of now having to pay for school, food, and often rent, they're realizing that the decision they made to start vaping so young because it was considered cool or because they were attracted by flavors is hindering their ability to become successful adults. Studies have shown that frequent exposure to these substances can harm adolescent brain development and that flavor restrictions are associated with decreased teen vaping. I fully support this ordinance, but the addition of a flavor ban is necessary to stop addictions before they have the chance to start and ensure that the youth of El Cajon can adjust seamlessly to adulthood. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kenner would like to make a comment?
Well, I certainly sympathize with the speaker because I remember being a student at Santana High School in the early 70s, and the only way I could go to a restroom that wasn't full of people smoking was run as fast as I could to the PE restroom where they didn't smoke. So at the breaks, you'd see all these students running to the PE restrooms and with a big line coming out. So it's unfortunate it's pretty much still the same.
The next speaker is Rebecca Brandstetter.
That's fine.
Good afternoon. I'm Rebecca Brandstetter. I'm a resident of District 1 here in El Cajon and a community health advocate from Community Action Service and Advocacy. CASA has been a proud partner with the city for decades to help keep El Cajon's youth away from dangerous substances and behaviors that harm them now and in the future. First, bravo and thank you for bringing this issue forward, especially with the penalty of immediate product seizure and license revocation for selling disguised vapes. These products are intended and sold for one purpose and one purpose only: to aid and abet nicotine addiction among our kids. I brought you an example so you can see how cleverly vapes are disguised to blend in with the typical contents of a student's backpack. And no, this ordinance will not prevent online sales of these nefarious products that both harm our kids and interrupt teaching and learning at our schools. But like so many complex issues facing our city, we have to eat the elephant of youth access to tobacco products one bite at a time. And this bite has teeth. Nice. A couple of weeks ago, I heard from a local principal who confiscates multiple vapes from students each week. He asked one student when he started vaping. His answer, the 4th grade. Talk about teeth. That kid still had baby teeth in the 4th grade. I have no doubt that this kid, like most kids, was first initiated into tobacco use through flavored vapes or cigarettes, which are illegal but still pretty widely available, to the tune of a quarter of local stores in our city having flavored tobacco products for sale during the most recent survey of licensed retailers. You've heard me say it before. Flavors hook kids. Flavored tobacco products are deliberately designed and marketed to entice youngsters into smoking and vaping, and they initiate them into a harmful and costly lifelong addiction. Nicotine use during adolescence has been shown to impair parts of the brain responsible for attention, learning, mood, and impulse control by affecting synapse formation, and it increases the risk for future addiction to other drugs. It was estimated 10 years ago that there were 7,700 unique vaping flavors, predominantly fruit and candy flavors. Imagine how that number has exploded in the ensuing decade. I've also brought a few samples for you to see. The flavors that have been sold during CASA's underage compliance testing over the past couple of years. So, thank you, council members Kendrick and Goebel, for bringing this forward. But while we're at it, let's take an even bigger bite out of youth addiction and add a flavor ban to El Cajon's tobacco retail license ordinance, so we can do what the state can't: protect young lungs in El Cajon and make our whole community healthier. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Meredith Riffle.
Hello.
Morning. Good afternoon. My name is Meredith Riffle, and I am a resident of District 1 and have been a homeowner and a parent of El Cajon residents for 30-plus years. So I'm grateful that we are doing things now that should have happened maybe when my kids were younger. I grew up in El Cajon, went to Granite Hills High School, and we had less opportunities to get in trouble than we do now today because we didn't have vapes. We didn't have those things. But now we know that 95% of all adult smokers started before age 21, which is now the legal age for tobacco. And out of the youth that start smoking, 1 out of 3 can quit. So 2/3 will have a lifetime addiction to nicotine, and half of them will die from a tobacco-related illness. We know that 24% of 11th graders at Grossmont High School District have used vapes. And I support a new ordinance prohibiting the sale of deceptive vape products, and I, too, believe that the flavors should go away. Those children use it because it tastes good, because it smells good, because it makes them happy, but then they have ruined their life or cut their life short because of it. Let's try and do what our state doesn't do and check those resources to make sure that our children are safe and that they don't have the opportunity to get in as much trouble. Thank you.
Thank you.
The final speaker is Truth.
All right, so this item says, any vaping or electronic smoking device that is disguised as another product, including but not limited to a pen, marker, stapler, eraser, pencil, USB drive, watch, hoodies, beverage container, or anything that's not traditionally associated with tobacco. So question, how is that different than selling a knife that looks like a key? If the argument is that vapes are addictively fruity, then why not target the Fruit Loop cereal, which probably contains things like cancer-causing red number 40 synthetic dye? And Kellogg definitely invests more into advertising than the vape companies. They even have cute animal mascots to tempt children into addicting, disgusting, horribly toxic cereals. And and by the way, I'm actually against smoking and vaping, but I'm also against hypocrisy and loopholes and things that don't make sense. So I'm pro-common sense is what I'm saying. And since Gary gave his high school memory, it's only fair that I give one too. And so in my time, way back in the day, very few teens smoked. So very different experience. I probably knew 1, maybe 2 people that smoked. I never saw it happen in a school bathroom, only girls talking and doing makeup. What's really changed is respect being taught to our youth, because then maybe they wouldn't even consider vaping, like I never did and never will. Thank you.
That's it.
No more speaker cards, sir.
All right, Gary, why don't you start us off since this is your.
Well, I actually have a question for the city attorney. Are flavored vapes illegal in California?
I guess I don't know the answer to that one because I thought they were when the speakers came up and said that they want us to get into the field of prohibiting flavored vapes. But we could, again, I thought that there was already a California law that prohibited.
That was my
sale of
understanding.
Flavored vapes.
It's my understanding as well, although the California law doesn't have a lot of teeth, where our ordinance does have a little bit more teeth than what California's does.
Yeah, that kind of reminds me where some cities have alcohol and tobacco stings, but to keep kids from buying the stuff. But in some cities, the police chief gives warning to the stores that we're going to be doing stings this week. So then the police can come in and says, we didn't catch anybody selling alcohol or tobacco to kids. Everything's going great. But we have teeth in our ordinances. So when somebody asks a kid, a minor, are you 21? They're allowed to lie in our stings. They can say, just like every other kid that's trying to buy alcohol or tobacco, oh, yeah, I'm 21, the guy's 14. So I don't want to create laws that we can't enforce. So each one of the three school districts here in El Cajon sent me a letter saying this is a problem. Please help do something about it, and that's what I want to do. So I'll turn this over to my colleagues. Okay.
Anybody have a comment?
And just one,
I think Steve might have a comment.
Steve?
My understanding is flavored tobacco products and things are already illegal. I think it was Prop 31 in 2022. Outlaw menthol cigarettes, flavored vape products, flavored smokeless tobacco products. So I think we're already covered there. So I support the draft as written. I think it is a good idea that you brought up, and it's about protecting our kids.
Any opposition? Somebody like to make a motion then?
I'll move that we accept the staff draft.
Great. We'll bring that back shortly.
We
then.
just, provide direction, right?
Yeah, that direction was great. Thank you.
Great, that's all we need then. All right, item 3 is a report on an all-way stop sign on Peach Avenue. Staff, will you tell us about this?
Good afternoon, Mayor, council members. Mario Sanchez, City Engineer / Deputy Director of Engineering Services here at the city. This item for today is regarding an all-way stop request at the intersection of Peach Avenue and Grape Street. Just to give you some context of the area, the intersection of Peach and Grape is located just south of Broadway, which is about 500 feet away from Bostonia Elementary School, or the Language Academy. And the existing speed limit on Peach Avenue is 25 miles per hour, as well as Grape Street. And again, the existing conditions, this is a two-way stop sign controlled intersection with existing stop signs on Grape Street, but no stop signs on Peach Avenue. And this is a residential area, and the prima facie or face value speed limit is 25 miles per hour. This slide just shows looking west as you approach the intersection. So the next slide, I have quite a few slides to discuss about what our findings were when we did a traffic study. We look at the site distance, and we gather all the traffic volumes, and so the next several slides shows where you're looking at from the perspective of a driver as they approach and enter the intersection. So this is viewing west at the intersection if you're at the south leg. And the next slide shows the opposite leg of the intersection, the northerly leg as you approach in the south direction, and you're viewing west. And again, this is viewing east at the location, and as you see, there's no stop signs on Peach Avenue. And another slide looking east as you approach the intersection. And another one looking east as you're approaching from the north. And another one from the south leg. So staff, we conducted a traffic study, and the data showed that approximately 7,100 vehicles per day travel through this intersection, with 5,000 vehicles on Peach Avenue and another 2,100 vehicles on Grape Street. We did a research of the accident history for the past 5 years, and the data showed, or the record showed, there was 2 accidents that occurred, and there were 2 broadside accidents at this location. And then again, we looked at the site distance as part of the criteria, and we determined that as you're approaching from the north or the south leg, the site distance is limited to about 200 feet, and the minimum required site distance for a street for this type of location is 280 feet. So the engineering department, we take a look at that history, accidents, traffic volumes, proximity to schools, pedestrian activity, and so forth. And we use a system, We use a system, a point system that was developed by the city of San Diego back in the 80s and 90s, and it was refined. And also we followed the Manual of Uniform Traffic Control Devices, which is a state guideline. So we tallied a bunch of points for this location, and we revealed that 22 points were tallied, and you need a minimum 30 points to meet the threshold for an all-way stop. But since this location is so close to the school, less than 500 feet away, and the limited sight distance, staff would recommend to put in stop signs on Peach Avenue. So staff's recommendation that the City Council adopts the next resolution approving the installation of permanent all-way stop signs on Peach Avenue at the intersection of Great Street. And with that, I'll open it up to questions.
Let me see if there's any speaker cards on this first, Phil. Any speaker cards on this item?
There are no speaker cards.
All right, Phil?
Was there any feedback from the public to not put the stop sign in?
No.
Okay.
No.
Perfect.
Any more discussion?
I think it's a good idea. 7,100 cars is a lot on a street. I see the stop sign is about halfway between 2nd and 3rd. 20 years ago, I got a ticket for speeding on that street exceeding 25 miles an hour, so I'm very familiar, and frequently cars go past 25 miles an hour. This can only help the public mid-span take care of this. This is a good safety solution.
Yeah, the primary function of local government is to protect the citizens and keep them safe. So, and the ones that need the most protection are the children. So with having a school by there, I think it's a good thing to have those stop signs. And I'll make that a motion to accept the recommendation.
Second.
All right, please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
The last administrative report, item 4, is a report on all-way stop sign on South Anza Street. Staff, will you please tell us about this?
Good afternoon, Honorable Mayor and Council members. My name is Olga Reyes, and I am Principal Civil Engineer in the Traffic Division. I met you guys a few weeks ago.
Yeah, welcome.
This is a request for installation of a permanent always stop sign on South Anza Street at the intersection of Redwood Avenue in order to enhance pedestrian and traffic safety along with address nearby resident concerns of vehicles traveling at excessive speeds. In this slide, I showed you a vicinity map of the area in question. Just for reference, South Anza Street is a north-south residential collector street that extends from East Main Street on the north to Chase Avenue on the south. Vehicles use this street as a bypass to South Mollison Avenue in order to avoid the traffic lights. South Anza Street has a residential speed limit of 25 miles per hour based on the California Vehicle Code. There is an existing stop sign on Redwood Avenue that controls this T intersection with no stop signs on South Anza Street. There is also an elementary school slightly east of this intersection, which you can see on this graphic, Lexington Elementary School. And there are approximately 4,030 vehicles that cross this intersection daily. Like Mario's presentation, I'm going to show you some graphics so that you can see the existing condition. In this slide, I show a photograph of the intersection viewing west. There are apartment complexes on the west side, and there's also a mobile home park on the southeast side. This next couple of photographs are from the same location, but just a close-up so that I can show you the site distance. One is viewing north, and one is viewing south from Redwood Avenue at this intersection. As it is apparent through these photographs, the corner site distance is less than minimal for a vehicle traveling from Redwood Avenue to safely enter onto South Anza Street. Based on the Caltrans Highway Design Manual, the minimum corner site distance, again for a 25-mile-per-hour road, is 280 feet. Further research, city records showed that there have been 7 collisions at this intersection in the past 5 years, with 4 of the 7 being broadside, which is also known as T-bone. And just for reference, I'm showing you that intersection viewing south with no stop signs on Anza. And now I show you viewing north at the same intersection, no stop signs. This next slide, I show you the proposed installation improvements on South Anza Street. The City of El Cajon, as previously mentioned, follows the California Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices and uses a guideline and uses a point system developed by the City of San Diego to determine if an installation is appropriate or is warranted. Criteria used for the determination is existing site conditions, traffic volumes, site distance, obstructions, proximity to schools, and accident history. A minimum of 30 points out of 50 is normally required, and with the data that we collected and the traffic analysis that we did, we tallied a total of 32 points for this intersection. So in conclusion, always stop signs are traffic calming measures that help reduce speeds and facilitate the movement of pedestrians and traffic flow in the vicinity of intersections like this one. Based on this information, staff recommends that the City Council approve the installation of stop signs on South Anza Street at the intersection of Redwood Avenue. And at this time, I will entertain any questions.
Let me see if there's any comment cards.
There are no speaker cards.
Great. I'll leave it to City Council to discuss.
Were there any comments from the public not wanting the stop sign that you guys fielded?
No, the initial investigation started because of the request, the highly requested stop sign.
Yeah, I appreciate staff staying focused on traffic calming measures in the city. I mean, it's a fantastic thing, especially in our residential corridors, 25 miles an hour. We have to keep doing these things to push people to the main thoroughways on Chase and Washington, and not having these bypass people speeding through, kids, seniors walking. We have a lot of pedestrians in El Cajon. So just thank you to staff for staying focused on it.
Anybody else? Gary?
I'll move adoption of staff recommendation.
All right, please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
Our last item on this special meeting is a closed session. The city attorney will recite the title and lead us into the closed session.
Thank you, Mayor. The City Council is going to meet in closed session for a conference with its legal counsel on anticipated litigation, significant exposure to litigation pursuant to paragraph 2 of subdivision D of Government Code section 54956.9. There's one potential case. For brevity, I will describe it as the claim of James Moore.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the closed session.
Second.
Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be quickly in closed session to deal with this problem, and then we'll be right back to continue the next meeting.